And now, to give us further insight, we have invited the CEO of our, I think we can say, sister company in Belgium, Elia Group, Mr. Peeters. Meneer Peeters, the stage is yours. Please, thank you.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be here, because I like to come to Norway, because Norway has always been the country that is full of energy. And as we have a country that needs energy, we have to keep good friends with you. So for those who don't know us, Elia is, like Statnett, the grid operator of the high voltage grid and also the system operator. We do that in two places. We do that in Belgium for the full country, and we do that in the east of Germany. And in that perspective, of course, and I will come back to that, we're very much looking to what is the energy transition going to bring to us. So we have a short-term perspective on the crisis, but also much more a longer-term perspective on how do we make sure that we continue to fuel our houses and our industry going forward. But before going there, I would like to show you one of the things we're most proud of, which is the energy island. We are going to build the first artificial energy island in Belgium. Yes, you hear that very well. The Danish thought they would be first, but we were quicker. And so it's a friendly competition, no worry. And so because this island will be connected to their island as well in 2032 with a cable. But I think this is a very exciting project, because what it really shows is where the future is going. It shows the way how we're going to integrate more and more renewable offshore wind and bring that to shore in an efficient way, and how we collaborate as countries with each other, because those hubs are not only there to integrate the renewable wind that is around the island, but also to be connected among each other, and so bring that to the places where it's needed at that moment of time. And that's very important if we look forward towards what's going to happen in the North Sea. Those who have had the courage to read the Green Deal, you see there that Europe is planning to have 300 gigawatts of offshore wind. And of course, then it needs to be integrated in an efficient way, and therefore these island concepts are very, very much important. And so if you are more interested, we have a lot of information on the island going forward. So then if we move to the next point to show you why it is important to have good friends, I have here two important charts for you. The one on the left shows you the countries in Europe that will be short renewable energy compared to their total consumption. And the ones that are in blue are the ones that actually will be long in that renewable energy. And if you see, I have then the pleasure with Elia Group to be in two countries that will be short. So we will be on the hunt to find partners that are long, and Norway is one of the countries that is very long, as you can see, as it is dark blue. So doing things together makes sense. But it does not only make sense from a perspective of we importing from Norway to us, but also makes sense from a perspective of making sure that we have a stable flow of energy for both countries. And so the second chart that you see here is the decorrelation. This is from a Belgian point of view that we have with other countries. And so you see, of course, if we go further into the North Sea, there is a higher decorrelation in terms of wind conditions, and that is, of course, important. I go back to the island concept, so we can actually, at moments there is a lot of wind, we can actually export from our side towards the north of the North Sea, but also at the other moments we can actually bring back energy from that side, and that gives a much more balanced profile that we then will have for the renewable energy, and that's important, of course, for many of the industries. And things are going fast, at least at the level of ambition. So what we have seen over the last couple of years is that Europe has increased their ambition each time. So first we had the Green Deal, then we had Fit for 55, then we had Repower Europe, and each time they increased the ambition level. I think that that is a very strong message to the world, that there is a willingness to speed up. I go back as well to what you will see on the next slide, which is, of course, here the question is who's missing, but that's a side question. But on this page here, you see on the SBR conference where 4 countries were looking together how they could develop their potential within the North Sea. You see that there is a huge ambition to speed up. Yeah, we will multiply the production of renewable energy coming from the seas by a factor of 5 by 2030, and then do another multiplication with 2.5 by 2050. But I think that the most important thing and the most important sentence that was said by Mrs. von der Leyen, that said, we want to have a permit in 1 year for everything that has to do with renewables. I think this is very ambitious. Today in Belgium it's 8.5 years, in Germany it's 8 years, so a way to go. But I think it gives the importance that we not only have to announce higher and higher ambition levels, but also we have to find ways to make sure that we deliver on that. And here you see then the larger picture, and here you are included into the list of the countries that are there. So another 110 gigawatt that will be developed by the non-EU countries around the Nordic Sea. So that as well is an important additional element. And that is actually one of the points that I wanted to make here. Europe can have that ambition, but without the friends of the UK and Norway, it will not happen. And also vice versa. I don't think that the energy transition in Norway can happen without Europe as a strong partner. So there is a real urgency, I would almost say a wake-up call, and there is maybe a possible risk of winner's curse here from your, let's say, former successes that you had in fossil fuel, that you don't speed up quick enough to make sure that you're part of this big transition. And if you look here, what is happening, and again, where is the line missing on this page? You see that there are today 8 hybrid interconnectors that are planned today. Elia Group is involved in 4 of them. We already have the first in kind, the one between Denmark and Germany is the only operational hybrid interconnector in the world today. So we operate 1, we plan for 4 other ones, and on top of that there are 4 other ones that are involved. Today you see that Norway is not yet on the list of this, and we heard before the reason for that, but if we look at all the analysis that we've done around those interconnectors, so we have 4 other ones that we make, then we see each time that the effect that you have, that one of the former presenters said in terms of flattening the curve, is much more important than the effect that you have with sharing your resource with somebody else. So there is a price gain for both sides of that. So there's a welfare gain for both sides, and the welfare gain is not only a supplier gain on the one side and a consumer gain on the other side. There is a consumer gain on both sides, and that's a very important message. This technology allows to go to look for wind that is far away from shore, because you have the opportunity to optimize the use of your expensive assets, which is called the cable. And you can go very deep into the sea, and what you see on this map is that the further you go into the sea, the more stable wind conditions that you have. And that is actually for Europe a very important discussion. We will issue next week our study on industrial decarbonization in Europe. And as you probably have seen in the press, there is a lot of, let's say, fear that we will lose industries in Europe if we don't manage the current crisis. And actually what comes out of this crisis is always the same. It's always the same. If we would have done the transition more early, if we would have PPAs at this moment of time with wind farms, if I would have more of that, I would actually be anchored into this country. I would create employment, I would stay. Actually, the only thing that I'm missing now is the speed that I can change in terms of my energy supply and the speed in which I can electrify. And so that is not a message coming from whatever Google with its data center. That is a message which is coming from BASF, that is coming from Nyrstar, that is coming from Leuna, that is coming from Holcim, that is coming from ArcelorMittal. These are all heavy industries needing a lot of energy. If you would have spoken to them 5 years ago, they would say, yeah, we would like to have the government creating some CCS at a low price, lower than a CO2 price, and then I'm fine, and business as usual. Now they all say, please, what the government needs to do is create a framework that I can do my investment. I have investment plans, and I will probably multiply with 1.5 by 27, 28 my electricity consumption and double it by 2035 in light of my decarbonization. Some of that is coming from CCS, but a lot of people forget that CCS as well will use a lot of power. You need a lot of power if you want to do CCS in a sustainable way. And so that is something as well that will create a huge increase in demand. And so at this point of time, industry is actually starting to make more and more rumor in Europe to say we need to have access to that renewable energy. And there, I think there is a joint opportunity. There's a joint opportunity that we develop this and that we see how can we work together with developing the potential of the Nordic seas and make sure that we have a full offshore grid going forward that is able to connect all these different countries and make sure that the concept that we're developing now of islands is multiplied across the North Sea, so that at any moment of time we can feed the industry, not only the industry of Norway, not only the industry of Europe, but both industries, so that we can make sure that this remains a region of high welfare. And I will stop it over there. Thank you.